morning. Welcome to another live feed on Shabbat's YouTube channel for February 11th, 2026. Let's get into the Sermon on the Mount book, chapter 72, and get into the subject 3 nothing. At First Grade Massacre, Bears versus Redskins. Talk about the 1940 championship game in the NFL. Start with the word of God. You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will proceed to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Qualified to judge? That's a question. Matthew chapter 7, verse 5. We have seen that we are not allowed to play God by judging others. This is sole prerogative. We have also understood that judging is best defined as uncalled for criticism. If you dish out uncalled for criticism, you will get it back. God himself will even turn on you for the moment. So it is our best interest to practice Jesus' teaching. If we judge, we will get it back. If we don't judge, we won't be judged. In this chapter, we notice that Jesus calls us hypocrites if we engage in judging. There is this blatant inconsistency Jesus picks up on. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck of your own eye, your eye, and all the time there's a plank in your own eye? So the plank in us magnifies and blinds, it magnifies the other person's fault and blinds us to our own malady. But Jesus adds a very interesting PS unto this section. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your side. This raises a difficult question. Is he telling us that we are qualified to judge after all? That some people are qualified to judge? You have seen that the plank in our eye is qualified us for literally this plank. Are we then set free in some sense to judge another? That is, to remove the speck in their eye. To put it another way, because Jesus started out this section by saying do not judge, but ended by saying that we can judge after all. On the condition that there is no plank in our eye, this question follows. Who can say they have no plank in their eye? Furthermore, will there not be those who take advantage of this, claim they have no plank, or therefore qualified to judge? This is a scenario that Jesus allowing all you have to do is qualify to judge to say, I don't have a plank, therefore I am qualified to sort you out. Or we therefore to believe that this is what our Lord is teaching. So we are back to square one. We all go back to pointing the finger because we have to remove the plank. Wait a minute, we define judging as uncalled for criticism. In this case, no one ever is qualified to do this. Call for criticism can never be a right thing to do. Why is this verse so important? Because this is a teaching we have to sort out because it's important. First, because we all face unjust situations every day. How long do you try right or wrong? How long do you let people take unfair advantage of you? There's comes a time when we must speak out, but we are told not to judge. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 5, hints that we can apparently judge if we have no plank in our eye. Who is supposed enough to say they have no plank? Therefore, we can step in and speak out. Secondly, this verse is certainly saying at least one of two things. No one ever gets rid of the plank. Therefore, no one can ever judge. No one can get rid of the plank. Then and only then can you judge another person. Uncalled for criticism, they're a valid option. That's for sure. Is there a little flexibility here, there? Maybe. Somewhere in between these two principles, and there is room for judging. The clear motive of Jesus is this teaching is to help us in a difficult situation. Our Lord's purpose is to promote honesty. We must admit we are unqualified to judge as long as there is a plank in our eye. We must admit to the plank. So the purpose is to promote humility in us. We must realize it will be arrogant to claim we have got rid of the plank in our eye. This will be tantamount to claiming to be without sin, which if we do this, we are deceived without truth. Without the truth. What Jesus wants to do by giving us this statement is to show a way forward. This comes as a little surprise. Jesus never says we should not help one another, deny whatever is in the person feeling wrong. The very next verse assumes that we must discriminate, not give dogs what is sacred, not throw your pearls to the pigs. Or in the same Gospel of Matthew, Jesus tells us what to do if our brother sins against us. Go and show him his fault. It's between the two of you. If he listens to you, you have won your brother over. If he will not listen, take one or two others along, so that every matter must be established by testimony of two or three witnesses. If you refuse to listen to them, tell the church. really just listen to the church, treated them as you would a pagan or tax collector. There's another verse we have to consider, brothers. If someone is caught in sin, you who are spiritual, you won't restore him gently. Watch yourself. You also made tender. Matthew 7, verse 5. He is promoting honesty and humility. Nevertheless, is offering him in a situation where things are wrong. Where something needs to be said, there comes a time when someone must speak out. Jesus is aware that there are times when someone must step in that will be irresponsible not to. There's a way for it. This verse is intended to help in this kind of situation. What are the priority? What do you do first before anything else? Please use the word first before this. If you are offering your gift, altar, then remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your gift there in front of the altar. Person go be reconciled to your brother. Then come and offer your gift. This verse actually appears with Matthew chapter 7, verse 5. And the right spirit toward another is paramount. Do not forget Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Seek first his kingdom, righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So with our present verse, first take the plank out of your own eye, that you will see clearly to remove the speck of your brother's eye. Therefore, we want to help. When there's a need to speak up against the justice of step in, someone is needed. Remember that it is more important to get it right ourselves than to sort out others. It's more important to judge others, to recognize the plank in our eye. Before we proceed, we all sin. Also, keep in mind Paul's words to Timothy. Christ Jesus came to the world to save sinners. Of him, I am the worst. The heart of matter, there's an ostensible paradox here. How do we obliterate the plank? Is this Jesus' tongue? Okay, person with the fault, because you can never move that plank in your eye. Or is Jesus teaching us sin as perfectionism? So now this would mean that only the last perfect could restore another. He's not saying here that the removal of the plank is possible. That would be to teach sin as perfection, allowing himself or this person to point the finger. This means almost exact, but not completely so. This is the way the Greek Torah, the purpose is to be understood in Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Maturity, not absolute perfection. Matthew chapter 7, verse 5 can likewise be interpreted not to be, but approximately this would not require the erasure of the plank or to correct another, but the refusal to dish out uncalled for criticism. A rule of thumb is that the run who is hardest on himself can often be the hardest. But the one who is humble, humbly aware of his own weakness and is not dishing out uncalled for criticism is more like to help another. He won't analyze but encourage. He will engage in a ministry of reconciliation and restoration. When he finds another brother or sister that was overtaken in weakness, he will attempt to restore the person in a spirit of meekness and gentleness, knowing his own vulnerabilities. If a person comes lovingly to restore another, no one knows all too well to be he or she has a plank. Is painfully aware of his or her own weakness. Likely to see whereas the meddler will fail. Likely to be welcomed whereas the meddler will be rejected. The following things will be likely described in the efforts if we follow Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. When approaching who needs help, first one must never be emotionally in the person's life you are trying to help. There's a danger of emotional involvement. Mark it down. If you're not the person engaged in this delicate ministry of restoration, if you are not personally involved and get turned up, just maybe you can help. In the word, if your own esteem, ego, and pride not ingredients, you may do some good. This means that one must be respectfully detached. This is true of any professional counselor you care about, the person you are trying to help. But you cannot be fixated on simple needs correction. One must normalize, punish, or give a guilt trip that's always uncalled for. Furthermore, if there's a slightest hint of your involvement in vendetta regarding the person who needs correction, if this will is forward in your face. Finally, the only consideration is the honor of God's name. It's the ultimate reason why one must step in. Delicate surgery. How then does one help accommodatingly? This means you are willing to because you are invited. They have come to you. Far from being a meddler, you're brought into the situation. Meddlers are always unwelcome. But if you are brought into the situation and show compassion, you're far more likely to be welcome. When you do not initially be counted, but brought in, chances are you will be impartial. Show activity and aren't personally involved. It will not be turned up. You can approach a person without being asked to do so, perhaps, but only if there has been a relationship of mutual trust. This case might just maybe seek to correct a person. Let's face it, this interpretation Matthew chapter 7, verse 5 can be abused. If one doesn't follow Jesus, he or she will get into deep trouble. Whose brush and muck where angels fear to tread? Self-righteous people will be pointing the finger right and left. In that case, Jesus will be seen by some people as if he began chapter 7, verse 5 by academic communalism and then conditioning it in the end. In short, Jesus does not rule out correcting another person, as long as we don't do it self-righteously. We can judge absolutely, but can be accommodating. This means a delicate operation to a surgeon operating on someone's eye. You approach the person with extreme caution. When you apply Matthew 7:5, it's probably an approximate sense. It will require that you have a sense of sin, and you seek to remove the speck by judging at this stage. Do not be called for person, but rather a gentle suggestion. Jesus never tells us how to remove the plank. It's because, in the absolute sense, it's not possible. Removal of the plank comes only when we'll find heaven. But if we pay attention to our own plank, the whole time we are trying to tell a person, we will not likely be meddling or pointing the finger. Objective principles. When do you rule yourselves out as being the one who performs this delicate surgery? This requires painful honesty on our part. First, when your nose is out joint, you must back off quickly. If someone gets their goal, you're turned up, stay out. Second, you are personally involved. If there's an injustice, you are pressured to help. Third, when your desire to see the other person punished, you won't want to be even. You must stay away, miles away. Fourth, when there's a desire to tinge of envy or jealousy about the situation. Fifth, when your self-esteem is laid, you must especially disqualify yourself from being restored. How do you know you are qualified to judge in this sense? According to Arthur Kennedy, it says because if you need an undoubted need, have embraced the principles, then outline and proceed in being responsible, not to speak, get involved if you are in a position to leave suffering. And you have been asked to help because there is no personal interest on your part. You should seek to restore. You are at total peace, have no inward churning or hesitation carried on. And then question and honor of God, that state you have duty to do what you can. All right, tomorrow so I'll be in chapter 73, Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Not give up those who are sacred. Do not throw your pearls to the pigs. If you do, they may trample them on their feet, and then turn and tear you in pieces. Skins of 73 Bears, 73 nothing. Bears over Redskins. First Grades Massacre, this chapter's gonna be about second quarter. The man the Redskins were counting on to bring them back after the Bears shot up to a 21-0 lead. It's backup quarterback Frank Phillips. He was born in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Played college ball at Indiana University. He's 38. Phillips was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you remember that the much better known Pittsburgh Steelers founded as its Pirates, one was trying to ride the coattails of the already established baseball franchise, although Washington already had Sammy Ball in his roster. Redskins brought Phil Chalk from Pittsburgh. Phil Chalk stood 6'5'11", weighing 193 pounds. Did not have the arm strength ball, neither did anyone else playing at the time. Being down by these 3 touchdowns was stunning, but not a hopeless situation when 3 quarters of the game remained. Philchop would later become important in the scandal when his career was checkered. Some years later, when Philchop was playing for the New York Giants, he was approached by gamblers. The bribes had affected the outcome of the 1947 championship game. Eventually, Philchop was caught and banned from the NFL for a few years, though ultimately being stayed. Now, one of Philchop's claims to fame, a positive matter, was that he was one of the throwing in the NFL's first ever 99-yard touchdown pass. Given the way yardage gains are measured, that's a record that can never be broken. In 1940, Philchop, however, was a young prospect trying to make his mark in the league. The circumstance provided a major opportunity. If Philchop could lead a comeback, he would be a hero. Ball or no ball, the Bears continued to feast on the Redskins. Second period opened with Washington obtaining first possession on his own 20-yard line. Philchop rolled out to the pass. The ball had to. It was not a bad call by Coach Ray Flaherty. Philchop. The idea was to strike fast and make quick, and it was the Bears lead. But the play was poorly executed. Chicago's Ray McLean flips the pass. McLean was one of the comparatively overlooked mainstays of the Monsters of Midway, playing in the shadow of several future Hall of Famers, but always a side contributor. McLean came out for tiny St. Anselm's College in New Hampshire. Was a rookie in 1940. He was born in Massachusetts and grew up in Concord, New Hampshire. As someone who played some college ball, he rated as a fine for George House and Papa Bear picked McLean first round 1940 playoff draft. McLean played on 4 Bears type teams. Each season did a little bit of everything. Did doing all caught passes, ran the ball, played on special teams. During his tenure as a defensive back, accepted 18 passes, not flashier than this one. By the time McLean stopped running with his left touch pass, Chicago had the ball at the 50-yard line, halfway to another touchdown. Given the way they were playing, something that seemed inevitable. 3 strike passes, 3 running plays took place after that. Sid Lutnick called for a pass. For the most part, he had been content with the goal plan that was conservative because the running game was working fine. Now, he allowed bullets to Joe Manhattan. That gained 24 yards, put Chicago on Redskins 16. Marks it in his zone to continue. Set ironically on the 1st and 10, McLean over a Luckman handoff. Washington defensive end Bob McChesney recovered. Once the Redskins scored a drive, Luckman was not truly phased though. They were plenty of short black patches to Kavanaugh McPhee. The runners were picking up enough yards and linebackers were drunk with power. Was so started hard calling. They were really playing for keeps throwing the Redskins wide open. Washington was new, escaping a major catastrophe, and began its possession from its own 19-yard line. Turned to its usual initial line of scrimmage after kickoff touchdowns. Perhaps Philchop was cold when he first came into the game. He had warmed up and seemed to some play calling rhythm. First down, Philchop kept the ball, gained 3 yards. He took the big tie, but the play was broken up by Luckman, who was also playing defensive back this day in addition to running Chicago's offense. Philchop came right back with the run and gained 7 yards on plastic by Hoffman, giving the Redskins a first down by less than a yard. Dropping back again from his own 29. Philchop scanned the field for a receiver. This time he found an open wide Wayne Milner. Milner made a leaping catch. If anyone was going to make such an acrobatic downfield play for the Redskins, it would be Milner. Milner was an all-state high school football player from Massachusetts, son of a two-time All-American at Notre Dame, who joined the Redskins at 36. 6'1", weighed 190 pounds, and had good speed. During a 7-year pro career that was halted by World War II, Milner was one of the finest receivers in the sport. Although he never compiled anywhere near the number of catches or other statistics NFL receivers accumulated later, he was elected to the Pro Bowl Hall of Fame in 1968. Skip around a little bit. Yeah, this is a blowout 7-9. So yeah, turning the 14-yard game. That was the thing for Washington. But right now they had to keep advancing. The next play was an incompletion. The heavy Bears pass rush caused another incompletion. Chicago fin on the play was Dick Plasman, now regarded as one of the best players on the Bears. He was mixed with crowd of Hall of Famers. That was still a two-time NFL All-Star. Touchdown that point could have transformed the game, at least in the eyes of Redskins supporters. But Washington controlled the ball and field position on a time-consuming drive, moving from the 19 to the 18, yet didn't add a point. It made 21-7, but remained 21-0. The player who got the first carry of the series was Jack Manders. Manders averaged 4.4 yards per rush, 119 yards. His running dudes was diminishing. He carried just 8 times. When the season in 1940 was a final year in the NFL. Ken Kavanaugh was another person that featured in this chapter. He was 6'3", weighed 210 pounds, reviving Chicago from Louisiana State. In 1940, he was drafted in the third round. Grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. Uh, he was one of a cast of outstanding Bears players who were the peak of their games when World War II put their football careers on hold. He was a pilot and earned the Distinguished Flying Cross medal for the thrusters flying in the war. They won 20-0. So I need to say about that. So then we have time tomorrow. So that's it for today. Have time tomorrow. Be in the other chapter. Calvin Shrewdness, chapter 73. So that's it for today. Like, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it. So then, talk to you tomorrow.